and welcome to ET Studios at the Economic Times GCC Growth Summit 2025 in Hyderabad. We're spotlighting building tomorrow's tech ecosystem, the role of GCCs in driving innovation and growth. With the rapid evolution of technology, GCCs are now leading AI adoption and cloud transformation and cybersecurity advancements to reshape digital experiences. They're no longer just support functions, but key innovation drivers. Our speakers will share insights on how their centers are shaping the future of global technology ecosystems. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to them today. We have with us Sheenam Ohrie, Managing Director, Broadridge Financial Solutions India, and Rohit Kaila, Head of Technology and Site Leader, Wayfair India TDC. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure and honor.
It's our absolute honor, and thank you for sparing the time. Let me start off with the first question. How are GCCs shaping the future of technology by driving innovation and creating value for the broader organizations?
So, for us, Shilpa, it's very important to align to what our parent company wants us to do, right? And at that point of time, we really start with a purpose. Broadridge's vision is to enable better financial lives. And for India, actually, one of the things that we want to do is materially transform ourselves into being a widely accessible center that is very essential to drive Broadridge's goals. We're ensuring we understand the larger purpose of what Broadridge is doing, what are our 4 goals, and how we align to those 4 goals. We do massive cultural exercises around why we do what we do, and ensure that every single associate in the company is aligned to that purpose and goal. Every single team knows how they contribute to that goal and to that larger purpose, right? So whether you're in operations, whether you're in technology and engineering, or you're in product, you know exactly what you're doing to ensure that the customers remain delighted with Broadridge.
So it's all aligned with the broader business objectives.
Absolutely.
And I think it needs a leadership perspective to take that forward. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I think Wayfair, for example, is the largest home segment e-commerce organization largely operating in North America. So for us, innovation or India TDC becomes a very critical element for our innovation, partly because of the fact that India also happens to be a great ecosystem for the e-commerce world. So when we came to India to set up the organization, hire a lot of people here, the opportunity space for us was that we will get a lot of people who are already experts in this space. India in general and Bengaluru in particular happen to be very core to what we do in the retail space, e-commerce, retail in general. So what happens is that we get a lot of folks who are very strongly experienced in that area. So they not just learn from what Wayfair has been doing, but as Wayfair sets itself for the next generation of growth, we also depend on this talent to actually lead the company forward rather than follow what the company has been doing. And that is why our strategy to hire in India has been, tops down, bring really strong talent into the organization, bring people with strong expertise across domain and technology as well, who can then lead the company forward as we do the transformation. So gone are the days when GCCs were about, setting something up for cost reasons or setting something up for doing some back office. We are actually expecting this talent to be leaders in transformation that we want to see within the company in the next many years. And that has been a very core to what we want to do. And that is why the choice of both the country and the location has been because, oh my God, we can get so many people who know supply chain here. Oh my God, we can get so many people who operate in cloud here. Oh my God, we can do a lot of stuff in Gen AI and AI space here because there are lots of talented pool of people who are available. More so than even US, some sections of the US as well. So that is really driving the company forward to say, once we do it right, we can actually move much faster within the organization.
Well, yes, indeed, the talent here is both young and then you have some mature talent as well across industries and functions, right? So that brings me to you, ma'am. How are you leveraging the talent in India, and what strategies do you use to leverage this talent to make sure that you meet your strategic and sustainable goals?
Good question. We have been in the country for 28 years through various companies. We started off, 28 years back. We were a very essential part of ADP, and when Broadridge was formed in 2007, we've now, as Broadridge, been here for 17 years. Um, uh, because we want to be a part of the global hub and we want to contribute really very much to that, India is known for, as Rohit said, for its talent. So really ensuring that we have personalized programs for talent at all levels. So whether it's an engineer fresh out of college, or it's somebody who spent time in the industry and has just joined us as a lateral in technology, or a domain expert, an aspiring manager, an executive. We have very personalized coaching programs, training programs for each one of those personas, right? That's one part of the story. The other part of the story is India is so rich from an ecosystem perspective, right? We have, possibly the largest English-speaking student population coming out in technology. Over 2 million students come out every year in engineering. So think about the kind of mass that we've got. So building relationships with academia, ensuring that they understand what you want, and being able to tell them and teach them, the teachers, is something that we are doing. So we have a very healthy relationship with about 18 colleges all across India that we do that. The other thing is that we do very, very well is really engaging with the startup community. That helps us really bring in ideas, right? And people, when they're mentoring startups, new ideas come in, so you feed that in. The last bit that we have just started doing about 8 months back is creating a zero distance with our customers. So 20 of our premium customers have very large GCCs in India, and they have leaders that are making global decisions, right? So how do you stop them from going to their parent company, who goes to our parent company, comes back here, and that entire cycle, and really creates a zero distance in the country and provides them with support and expertise locally. So we have now established a very, very small niche but good account management system. We have a leader that reports directly into me, and that's something that we're doing to really ensure that our talent, our associates also learn from our customers, right? It's a very big induction.
That's great. So these employees have personalized learning tracks, and the company benefits as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
and
fantastic.
You just don't teach them; you also get induction through startups, through customers, and through the academia.
Oh, that's excellent. That's multifaceted.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Fantastic. I'd like to hear this through your lens and how your organization approaches talent, and especially the sort of burgeoning local talent here that we have.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things very much in the same theme, right? Because the demand, I mean, talent availability is large, but the talent demand is also very large, right? So, like you said very well, is that we, within the first year of our operation, actually started working with universities to get a lot of university talent in. And that has been great benefit for us, partly because of the fact that, we also benefited from the fact that it was a little bit low year in the university aspect of it. So we were able to attract really top talent from there. And these are, especially when Gen AI and a lot of the new things are happening, are probably more hungry people. So as a result of which, we are doing that part where we are bringing fresh talent in and training them into space that they can really grow into. So that has really been very helpful. I think the second part that's been very critical for us is the fact that, which is sort of leads to my, sort of brings in from my first point, which is we have a lot of talent coming in already from domains that operate in India. So they already know this stuff really, really well. So they come in and they're already trained. So they almost push our organization to some extent and learn some ways of our organization as well, and create a very healthy medium. The third part that is very interesting is we work very closely with the likes of Google, for example, on Google Cloud and other aspects of it, who has significant presence in India. So when we come in, we work very closely with their local talent to help sort of move up the chain very, very fast. So if we can have, we've had, for example, joint hackathons with Google where we generated really fantastic ideas on what we want to do because their talent and ours is coming together to make that happen. Because so much of concentrated talent exists in a very small area and region, that makes us move really, really fast. That also becomes very beneficial for our employees because they come in and they understand that very fast. And the last thing that I would like to quickly touch upon, where again talent development has really helped us, is that we are this unique combination of people who come to our company from startups, but then see our company to be a lot more stable, larger company. Unlike you've been in the country for that long, we've been here only about less than 2 years in some sense, right? So we bring a lot of that talent in that is saying, okay, we've been in startups, but we can actually go here and sort of have the comfort of a large company from a perspective of direction which is stable. And then there are a lot of people who come from large companies who are like, I'm tired of the bureaucracy in large companies. You want to work in an environment which is very startupish. So we are able to bring that in and push the company to build a talent pool that has hopefully the best of both the worlds. And that sort of gets us in, because again, India is a great place where you can find really great startup talent, really great large company talent. So bringing the best of both the worlds, it's a unique place to do some of that stuff.
Well, the numbers are insurmountable, and I think that's definitely an added advantage with our demographic, which has the largest number of working young professionals as well. I'd also like to know from you, how do you balance short-term goals at your GCCs along with long-term objectives?
Great question. And the way I would position that question is, right, you have to do regular deliveries, right? Your customers are expecting things. We are a highly regulated environment, so we have to keep up with the regulations. Regulations keep changing, some laws keep coming up. We've been talking about the DPDP Act. So something or the other is always exciting, and you need to continuously keep delivering. And for me, that's really the immediate thing that you have to do, because the money has to keep coming in, customers have to be keeping engaged. But the long-term strategy is really important. At Broadridge, what we have is a 6-year strategy. And we are in our 4th edition or 4th evolution of that 6-year strategy. We're right now what we call as Broadridge 4.0. And we've moved from being a transaction processing company. Today, our goal is to be a platform company. So our long-term vision is really to create a modern technology platform in which our customers can come and absorb features, functionalities, capabilities standalone. They can hook up their own services into that platform. So building that platform that's open, modern, available, along with keeping the legacy mainframe technology alive, is something that we balance very well. And the way we do that is we groom domain, we groom business acumen, right? For us, our space is really niche in the larger BFSI segment, and that niche space to ensure we have the right domain expertise, which can talk to customers and bring in that business value back into the cycle is very critical. So the focus is very high on business acumen. The focus is very high on domain expertise as much as it is on technology. So that's the balancing act.
All right. And talk to us about your focus and approach.
I mean, first of all, I'll give the answer with the disclaimer that we've been here only for about 18 to 20 months.
Okay.
So when I talk about long-term, accept that to be a little bit more forward-looking statements. But having said that, we are Wayfair as a company has been going through a significant amount of tech transformation in the space in which we operate, just by nature of what we do and the nature of the entire tech ecosystem around us. So one of the things that I think we've done well by bringing in a lot of fresh talent into the organization is to learn the existing ways of working in terms of what we do within our organization, but at the same time sort of lead that change. So if you're doing a tech transformation, let's say we're moving from in-house system to a more scalable cloud system, we should be able to get a bunch of talent who's able to not just understand what we do, but also understand where we want to take the company. And then figure out how we can transform the technology in that space. We have not yet gone into the business side of things, just by the nature of how long we've been in the organization in India. But on the technology side, we're doing that. Then you pick up, our favorite Gen AI and AI. We want to make sure that every single engineer in our organization is actually enabled with that technology. So when we do that, we now bring people in from the outside who potentially understand that and are ready to accept that, and at the same time, but not just do it right out of the blue, but first understand what we are doing, which is really the short-term approach of what we are doing, and then see how we can go from point A to point B, right? And then because they have that expertise, they are able to actually carve out that path potentially faster than what we would have done otherwise, right? So that is a little bit of advantage that we get because we are coming in with fresh eyes. But, sometimes the thought process is, okay, I'm fresh eyes, I just want to do new stuff. So we want to make sure people understand how the business is run today, because there's a significant amount of money on the table. And if you don't know what you're doing today, you cannot really take to where you want to go tomorrow. So we are mixing that and ensuring that we have a short-term and long-term view of what we are. But like I said, with the disclaimer that maybe 2 years down the line, I'll be able to talk to you a little bit more about what are the long-term implications that we've done. But we are where we are and doing pretty well on that aspect.
Well, it sounds like you're charting a careful and cautious path, definitely. Also, how do you take a look at risk-taking and experimentation at your GCC?
GCCs are traditionally in India have not been very risk-taking, right? So about 2 years back, we launched a campaign which was called I Am Boundless. And there were 3 pillars to I Am Boundless. One was the entire thing around ownership. The second was entrepreneurship, and the last one really led to, equal citizenship. And by equal citizenship, we really wanted us to be global leaders with the ability to, just port our talent to any location in the world, to be able to pull any kind of work into India. Ownership is all about, output. It's about accountability. It's about impact. But the more interesting piece is the entire thing around entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. And what we focus there is the ability to take risks. Can you take calculated risks and say, okay, let me try something new and see what happens? So one of the things that we do is we also celebrate failures. We celebrate successes. We, sit down and say, okay, we failed, but why did we fail? And what could we learn from it? And how can we be better, right? So how can that be an iterative process? The other thing that we have done is that we sit down and say, okay, this went well. And why did it go well? Right? So, understand what is it that you did for it to go well. Because sometimes, things go well just like that. And you need to understand if you were intentional about that and learn from that as much as you learn from failures. So celebrate failures and learn from successes too is something that we are doing to see how we can build in the risk capabilities in the organization.
So decoding the factors that go behind both success and failure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
very well put.
That's a great approach indeed. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And how would you address it?
So, Wayfair traditionally has been a very startup-oriented organization. Even though we've been in operation for 22 years, we still operate like a startup. So innovation is very core to what the company does in general. That is one part of the story. The second is that we do not distinguish between locations. So even though we are a GCC and everything else, from Wayfair's perspective, it's another TDC. We don't want to do anything special for India. At the same time, we don't want to do anything, non-special for India as well. So it becomes as part and parcel of the Wayfair culture. So we are spending a lot of time with our engineers to just imbibe the culture of Wayfair. And Boston, being our headquarters, is the richest in that culture of innovation, startupish approach, ownership-based mentality in terms of what it is. So we spend a significant amount of time in making sure our engineers imbibe that culture of the company. And you don't become like an island of your own making in some sense. And that has been really core to what we do, is to make sure. So we don't, when people come in, we don't just train them on tech, we also train them on the culture. Because that is the core to Wayfair's success over the last 20 years that we've been around. And given the fact that we are a founder-led company, it still operates like how it operated maybe 20 years ago, or even before we went public and everything else. So as a result of which, we focus a lot on the tech and domain training, along with the approach, which is cultural training. And when we do that, we realize that most of our engineers sort of become Wayfarians in their own right, and ensure that they just carry on the good work that Boston and all the other TDCs have done over a period of time.
Okay, so you have a cohesive culture in the company, and thank you for walking us through that, and thank you to the two of you for sharing your approaches, perspective, and time here at ET Studios. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Again, thank you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on this discussion. Thank you so much for watching. And remember to stay tuned at ET Studios at the ET GCC Growth Summit 2025.